Welcome back to another episode of What If Civilization Started Over. Now, in the last episode, we saw a decent amount of exploration and kind of the overall attitude towards the Empire. And with that, we saw the collapse of a nation, the Red Team, and the old former Bulgarian team. On today's episode, we're going to be seeing a lot more exploration. Well, the first exploration is going to be actually here in Europe. The three French countries, two French countries plus Spanish country? I don't know. They're going to expand up, they're going to explore, and with collaboration with the Danish team, we're going to see the complete exploration of the French coast. And with that, rapid exploration by all countries in Europe makes it so all of mainland Europe is explored. Now, another thing that's going to be happening is agreements between the purple and gold team. They are going to agree to split Corsica. I'm pretty sure. One of these is Corsica, one of these is Sardinia. I'm pretty sure this is Corsica. If I get that wrong, tell me in the comments. But they're gonna split the island into two, like this, with the purple team getting the northern part and the gold team getting the southern part. The world is kind of going through a population boom right now. A whole bunch of countries are experiencing population growth, and this was just after the Exodus movement. So a lot of these outer countries, they're starting to get really densely populated. I don't know how well that's going to be portrayed. But, like, the yellow team, they didn't expand any, and a lot of people moved in the last episode, but now they're expanding quite a lot. So, the purple team says, alright, we are really densely populated, and, well, let's start moving these people elsewhere. And so what they're going to do, but they can't really expand elsewhere. They can attempt to go into the Alps, but that won't go too particularly well. They could theoretically invade one of these three, the starkest French team country, but, like, why would you do that when you could just go over here, island hop, and start exploring some of Spain? They send exploration groups out, and eventually, they set up a small colony. Colony? Maybe. I don't know. But it's going to be over here, like right here in this area, and they're going to be taking a decent chunk of land, even bordering up to the Lime team. They're going to take this, but they're also going to take these two islands, these islands. They're islands. Now their empire stretches the Italian peninsula to the Spanish peninsula, or the Iberian peninsula. Lime team sees this and says, whoa. This is our land, sir. You can't do that. And they're saying, like, wanna fight? We're like 10 times stronger than you wanna fight? And they're like, no. That's what I thought. So what's the Lime team gonna do? They're gonna colonize up here. They're gonna start colonizing. They're gonna colonize a decent amount of Spain. And they're gonna also be the first country to reach the Atlantic Ocean. Now with this, the other French team countries are like, whoa, you can't do that. So they're also going to be expanding. I'm very sorry for what's about to happen. We'll be back after this break. And the borders look something like this. Now you might be wondering, why does this country own these two exclaves? Like, why does that doesn't make any freaking sense. Well, simple fact, they noticed this team expanding, and this seems like, no, we kind of wanted this land. And so they start expanding upward, but then they decide, hey, wait a minute, why do we need to go all the way around? We could just claim the territory. So that's what they did. And then a village over here wanted to join with the green team, and they're like, sure, why not? More territory. So, very sorry for these borders. But with this exploration of Europe, with the almost complete exploration of Europe, these countries are going to expand. This is definitely not because I hate these guys' borders. Anyway, they're going to be taking a decent chunk of land, and that land will be a lot of the Benelux and even further into Germany. The border is going to look, and their new border is going to look like that, looking a lot better, besides that weird little box. But Polish team country, they're going to be doing a decent amount of expanding as well. Once again, I definitely love these borders. Besides that northern border does look really nice. It's better. These countries are getting quite big. Some of these countries could even be rivaling the blue team in strength. Now, of course, not, but yeah. Now zooming back into the Italian Peninsula, the gold team's like, they're becoming way too dense for their population. So they decide, you know what, let's pull in northern Italy and colonize a bit of land overseas. So they colonize a bit of Africa, like this. We're turning tolerance up a little bit. There you go, that's a bit better. So now they own a decent chunk of that, and also Malta. They look quite nice. Now, at this point, this yellow team, they've been kinda silent for a while. Why? Because they've been mounting up for a massive exploration out east. And they send out this exploration. This is a kind of ridiculous amount of explorationist. Like a million? No, like a few thousand. Eventually, they make over here to the Bangladesh and Bengal Bay, I'm pretty sure. They also explore all of India. But eventually, these guys, they're going to get lost. And where they get lost is going to be over here. Now, they're going to be probably start using, you know what, we don't have a blue anymore, so they're gonna set up shop over here, taking all of this land around the Bengal Bay. So, and the Indian team is like, hey, where did all those scouts go? And well, eventually they discovered the blue team, and they're like, hey, why didn't you come back? And they're like, y'all abandoned us. Like, we tried sending people back to you, but nothing came. And eventually we just set up shop. I was like, we supported you, how dare you? And they say, hey, this ain't my fault. Also, India expands a little bit, so. Now over here to the Arabian Peninsula. There are 3 countries currently on it, and well, that number's gonna stay. The blue team, the dark blue team in specific, is gonna call a meeting in this over here, and they're gonna call it not in their capital, not even in the purple team's capital, not even in the blue team's capital. It's gonna be in no one's capital. It's gonna be in this city right here. No, it's gonna be in this purple team city over here. And what they're gonna do is like, hey, let's just split up this thing at this point. And they're like, why should we trust you? And it's like, if you don't, we will happily invade you again. And they're like, sheesh, back off, fine. So they kind of strong-armed them into agreeing to this, but like, they're the strongest country, what do you expect? So, ultimately, the blue team ain't gonna take that much land. They're only gonna be taking that little chunk. Purple team, they're gonna actually be taking a decent amount of land, taking about this. And then the light blue team, they're gonna take about this, take the rest. So finally, the Arabian Peninsula be full. And after people guys like, hey, he just kind of strong-armed them into accepting a thing that he didn't even benefit from. Like, what the heck was the point of that? And they're like, okay. And they're like, what? We strong-armed them, giving them something they probably want. And they're like, fair enough. But this is gonna start getting some countries a little suspicious. Especially the Italian countries. And they're gonna actually form an alliance. It's gonna be different from the Circle team, as you can see. This is this is the OG alliance right here. But you know, the Italian country's like, hey, you know what? Let's form. We're pretty close, and well, we could use the protection, you know? So, I might as well, right? So, now they're gonna invite, they invite other people to this alliance, but no one else joins for the simple fact no one's really in the threat of it. So, Blue team is gonna do even more expanding. You know, I say they're at their upper limit, but they keep on expanding. But, you know, they're the strongest country, and at this point they haven't done a lot of expanding, and with this whole population boom, the citizens are like, we're too crowded over here, like, expand a little bit, please. And they did, and they're like, that's not enough, my guy, that was mostly desert. So what they do is they expand their Red Sea coastline. A decent chunk, actually. The purple team is also gonna do expanding. I know, crazy. Remember, these guys are kind of vengeful, and well, they want like powerful territory. I want this being kinda in the Romanian, Ukrainian area. They're like big like the breadbasket, so they're like, yeah, let's go. Let's do this. And at this point, they're gonna go a bit isolationist. Why? Well, might find out pretty soon. At this point, the Danish team is kinda hurting internally. Why? They're not listening to their people. Now, at this point of history, people are still kinda used to not countries playing nice to their people, but the people of Denmark has had enough. So, what they're gonna do is they're gonna rebel. They're gonna rebel, especially in newly incorporated territory. And the rebellions are gonna look something like this. It's gonna look something like this. The Danish team has split up into 4 different teams. Most notably, the slime team up here. Which, this is not good for the Danish team because, well, they lost all but 4 major cities. Not particularly good. Although a lot of these countries are in newly incorporated territory. Now, at this point, the Lime team, wow, they kind of be strolling. They expand quite rapidly and even take the capital. Strangely quick. Why? Because this is this is a governmental force, and they expand quite rapidly, taking even the last 2 major cities. The red team, the other rebellions do work. The orange and red team works together for this operation. And this green team also expands out. And yeah, you know the story. So how will the petition of Denmark look? It's going to look something like this. This is how the peace treaty looks. Most notably, you can see that the Danish team technically still exist, but they're more now of a German team. The lime team is basically the new Danish team. The red team took a bit of land. The lime team took a bit of land. All of them, besides the orange team, took a bit of land. And while some of these countries don't even have major cities, so I'm going to be giving them some major cities. The orange team's capital is going to be right here. The lime team's capital is going to be right here. And the red team's capital is going to be right here. At this point, it's been a few years since the collapse of the Danish team. The Orange team is actually going to do something pretty quickly after. They set up their government, all that, and they actually come up here and start exploring England for the first time. They make mark in England, and, well, they kind of discover a lot of land quite rapidly. At this point, what they're going to do, well, they're going to be the first country on Britain. There's a little bit of orange on the island, so they actually expand quite rapidly on here. This area was quite populated, but with how little land there was, well, they needed some land. They explored more of Britain. But some people from these countries don't quite exactly like how they're doing this. They say they're a peaceful folk, but, well, there are some people already technically living here, and, well, they kill a lot of those. So, people from the native group and some people from the Orange team are actually going to form their own country. They're going to form the Brown team over here in Wales. They may actually quite a lot, and they even expand down here towards Cornwall. We have our first uniquely British country. I know, disgusting. Not much more exploration, since there's some riots going on in this new area, and the Orange team's like, my bad, guys. Next, we're just gonna get this out of the way. All of mainland Europe's gonna be explored, and today. Exploration teams, mainly by the Purple team, and some by the Lime team, explores all of France. Yes, France. Explores all of Spain. Some groups even explore over here. Purple team's like, ooh, that's some land for the taking. So they start expanding their colony. Quite a lot, actually. People over here are kind of itching to expand. And, well, they're going to create a nice, healthy, big chunk of colony. Now, what's that random dip there? Well, the Lime team says nothing above this line. Nothing above this line, and, well, they already started kind of exploring, so, like, they already started claiming land, so they said, okay. They agreed, but they just kind of went down. The Lime team actually also expands quite a lot. Going up towards the line that said they stated, and explores up and takes some land up here. Boom, bappity boom. The Gold team's colony over here is also going to do some expanding out westward, as this colony is growing quite rapidly in population and whatnot, so they go quite a lot out westward, actually. There is even this little random bit right there from some random people who wanted to go south. One specific family wanted to colonize all the way down there, and it's like, okay, fine. At this point, the Gold team's capital is kind of far away from everything, and they're kind of worried, well, they're kind of worried that because their capital is so far away, that these people won't feel quite integrated. So what they're going to do is actually move their capital to more of a central location. Their capital is going to be right here. They hope that this is going to be closer west towards their colonies so that they won't rebel. Now, the Blue team, they're kind of having issues with people far away from their capital not listening to them as well. For example, over here in formal Purple team territories, over here in newly conquered territory, and even former Egyptian colonies territory, and even over here in their own colony. These issues are kind of being an issue. These areas are being kind of an issue because they are so far away from their capital that they're like, we don't have to listen to this guy. And, well, they're not taking too kindly to this. They kind of shoot some protesters with, well, they stab some protesters because there's no real guns yet. Guns are far from being invented. crap, they were probably still using bow and arrows. We're probably at the point of the Bronze Age at this point. Although I think the Bronze Age, the world was probably a bit more explored. Probably more of Asia was over here, was explored. But anyway. So, these people, well, after these people are said, like, why did you do that? And, well, Blue Team's in for some issues in a future episodes. We'll say that. The thing is kind of collapsing from the inside. Not really, though, because they're doing a surprisingly well job. This is their first. This is their first big blunder that will eventually lead to their collapse. Also, spoiler warning: this thing ain't lasting. So, anyway. Now, with that, that's gonna be the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, all that good things. Leave an interaction. Watch the original series. Watch other fan-made series. I'll leave the original link in the description. And, well, thank you for watching. I hope you have an amazing day. Goodbye.